Welcome to the Healthcare Men podcast. My name is Fowobi. Show your love, show your support. Follow us on all social media platforms: Instagram, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, TikTok, and co. Thank you for your love and your support. Today, we'll be talking about language acquisition and bridging communication gaps. As we know, the world is becoming a compound village where it's possible for you to live in one continent and do business with people from other continents, other part of the world. So it is in your best interest to learn other languages, especially the language of the country you decide to do business in. And you don't necessarily need to know the full context of that language, or let's say the full scope of a new language, but at least you know how to say hello, hi. You know how to say how are you? You know how to say how do I get to? You get me? Basic things. So let's start with, how do you learn new language? Language acquisition and the advantages, for personal, professional, and social development. This is where platforms like Duolingo, Babu, Rosetta, platforms like this, they are free though. They are very, very free for you to start taking these Chinese classes, let's say Russia or French classes. And it's I speak just 2 languages because I don't think I need to learn new language. So I speak English and Yoruba. Yoruba is a tribe in Nigeria, and those are the 2 languages that I speak: English and I speak those 2 fluently, at least to some extent, fluently. So let's talk about how learning a new language can open doors to new opportunities and perspective. I'm a software engineer, and there are moments where I have to create systems and software development. Because I have a software company for business owners that come from other parts of the world. Like, let's say they are from Mexico. I don't speak Spanish, but my business with them would have been better and move more smoothly if, let's say, we speak English to us, to a certain level, and I switch to Spanish. I'm pretty sure they will want to do business with me more. But I understand the reason why most of these businesses would prefer to do business with me, because of my professionalism and because I'm the best in the market, and I charge people affordable price. I get that, that makes sense. But I understand the benefits of speaking Spanish, for example, because I do business with a lot of Spanish people, and I know it's going to make a lot of sense if I speak Spanish. But for now, my brain cannot learn any new language though. But that's the truth though. But the benefits is there. If you let's say you do business all the time in real estate, in software development, in finance, with people from, let's say, China, Asia as a whole, the continent, or let's say people from Spanish areas, French speaking countries, and those things. If you speak that language, the benefits is there. Most definitely they will gravitate towards you, and they would be impressed that, wow, the fact that you can have the patience to learn their language and you speak it fluently. Wow, I want to do business with such guy. And this is how this thing works. So let's talk about the cognitive advantage of bilingual and multi language speaking. If you speak multiple languages, it shows that you're very, very intelligent. If you speak more than 1 language, I speak 2. My mom speaks 4. My younger brother speaks 6. My dad speaks 3. It shows how patient you are. And the fact that you are a fast learner, and you're patient. You're very, very patient though. Me, come on, man. It's not for everybody though. I speak just 2, but I know people that speak 8. When I was doing my master's degree, there was this guy in my class, Yan. His name is Yan. He speaks 9 languages. As far as I'm concerned though, he's the most intelligent man I have met in my life. He's a profound genius though. A profound genius. He's also a tech founder, but he's another level of. He's what I would call a software god. So, but the benefits is right there. It shows you are a fast learner. You are an intelligent human being. You are patient. Get me? And you want to learn other people's culture. So that's one of the benefits, and of you learning, of you speaking other people's languages. Like people know that, okay, wow, I like this guy. This guy is interested in other people's language. Because say for example, if you don't like people's culture, I don't think you would try to invest into learning their language, because I see it as an investment. You going to classes, hanging out with them, studying them, paying attention to their food, their culture. It takes a lot of time. Though. Now let's talk about the challenges in language acquisition. The challenge might be there though. Say for example, let's say you're trying to speak Chinese, for example. You've never been to China before, but you want to learn Chinese from your home country. A majority of the time though, you will learn the language from someone that learned the language from people from that country. Say for example, let's say I'm trying to learn China. I would be more comfortable to learn the language from someone from my tribe than to go directly to meet a Chinese man or a woman. You get me? So the challenge might be there, because the people that come from the homeland of China, the way they speak the language might be different from people who come into their culture to learn the language, and that person is trying to teach me. So the challenge is, it is more advisable to learn the language from people that come originally from that culture. So the challenge might be to finding the right people though. The people who come originally from that place. That might be a challenge. I live in Minnesota, and I've never seen a Chinese man before in Minnesota. Like that's the truth though. I've never, not even once, seen a Chinese man before. I've seen people from what is that place? Hello, Kobe by now. I've met one woman that came from Japan. Just one woman that came from Japan, but a Chinese man, I've never seen one before. So another challenge that you might face from cultural and linguistic barriers that it's possible for this challenge to contribute to communication gaps is, what if they decide not to want to teach you? Some of them might not like you enough and say, because we perceive things differently. Like me, for example, if you don't know me too well, my presentation might come off as arrogant. You get me? And I'm not arrogant. As a matter of fact, I'm a very, very humble dude. So it's possible for me to go into another culture, another ethnicity, and they perceive my presentation as, because I'm a very reserved person. So in other people's culture, when you are that quiet, when you're that reserved, when you're that chill, they might perceive you as, you think you're better than us. So it's possible for them not wanting to teach you, which is one of the cultural challenges that I've noticed, especially, from other people that are trying to learn, these languages that I mentioned previously. And, you just have to learn their definition of humbleness and meek, humility, because in my culture, like, okay, like, take for example, in my culture, a meek, humble, someone with humility is a human being that bows. You bow down when you want to greet people. You don't look people in the eyes too much. You get me? Like, this is communication skills. And in the United States where I reside and my family live, you don't need to bow to people to get their respect. As a matter of fact, though, they will lose respect for you when you're talking to them and you don't look them in the eyes. Does that make sense? So when you look away, when you're talking to them and you look away, they won't trust you. But where I come from, when you talk to people and you look them directly in their eyes, it's more like a challenge. So am I making sense? Like, different cultures and different ethnicity, they perceive things differently. You get me? Like, they do. They perceive things differently. So, before you go into a culture trying to learn their language, try and learn what is respectful what is disrespectful, what is humility, what is humbleness. Learn how to talk. Like, learn from them. The first question you should ask is it okay if I do this? Like, what is the most disrespectful thing I can do that would, turn you off to say, okay, you don't want to work with me? You get me? Like, these are questions you need to ask. So another thing I want to say is the importance of understanding cultural nuances in effective communication. Active listening skills. Like, this is very, very important. Like, there are some cultures that, the more you interject people, the more you cut people short, that shows you're trying to assert dominance. You get me? Like, where I come from, when people are talking, you shut up. You keep quiet, or you listen to them. And then when they are done, you argue your point. You get what I'm saying? There are some ethnicity, after they say no, it's no. You have nothing to say. So the more you try to argue your point, the more you come off as being disrespectful and, not just respecting their boundaries. So you need to respect cultural, communication tactics and, platforms. Respect them. Don't just say, I want to learn how to speak Spanish, and then just go to school without you learning the rules and the regulations of the Spanish territory, if that is correct. Now let's talk about language identity. Let's explore the connection between language, identity, and self-expression. It goes hand in hand. And it's one to learn the language itself without you understanding the identity and self-expression. I come from the Yoruba land in Nigeria, and one of our expression is we use our face, our hand, our body. We exaggerate statements. What do I mean? I'm trying to explain to you how stressful my whole day was. Rather than say, I had a stressful day today, I'm so tired. As a Yoruba man, I would say, today almost took my life. That small statement, and I will look at you and say, you don't want to know how stressful today was. I'm still trying to explain how stressful the day was. And then I will say, I am lucky to have made it out of today. Today is one day to remember for the course of my life. We exaggerate statements. It's part of the culture itself. But people that are not from that culture, it probably won't make sense to them. You get me? And some will say, how about you go straight to the point? But people from my culture, I just went straight to the point. I just told you how stressful the day was. You get me? Like, so, there are some cultures that, they talk like this too. You get what I'm saying? They talk like this, but they have their own way. There are some cultures, like the Germans, for example. The Germans are known for not talking too much. They don't exaggerate statements. They are very, very brief with their expression. And if Germans don't know you, they won't interact with you. You get me? Like, different cultures have their own identity. They have their expression tactics. They have their language skills. You need to understand the connections. It's not just the language itself. You get me? You need to understand the language value, the language identity, like what they are trying to convey. In a nutshell, be a student. Ask questions. Just keep quiet. Just keep quiet though. So another thing that we should talk about is how language can influence an individual's sense of belonging and cultural identity. Don't just go there to say you want to learn. Let's say you want to learn Spanish. Don't just learn Spanish just because you want to speak Spanish. I mentioned earlier about cultural belonging. There are so many things attached to this, like the identity, for example. Because language influence individual sense of belonging. So, it's not just the fact that you speak. It's not just the fact that you speak the language. When you start speaking the language itself, you are part of the culture. You respect the culture. You respect the heritage of the people from the culture. And just because you speak the the language, and I said just now that you are also from the culture, that doesn't mean you are from the culture. You respect people that are originally from the culture. Say, for example, I speak English now. I speak English fluently because it was the British that colonized my country. But I respect the British people. I don't know much about their holidays, their festive period, but I respect it. Does that make sense? I don't disrespect their religion. I don't disrespect their ways of doing things. I respect it. I may not participate, but I stay out of way. I respect it. It's one thing to speak the language. It's another thing to just respect it. You don't have to accept it, but respect them. Respect their sense of belonging. Respect their cultural identity. Respect the way they decide to, the way they choose to do their own thing. It's going to save you, though. It's going to save you. So now I'll provide you some advice, for looking to, if you're looking to learn new language. First, though, don't just jump in to learn the language itself. Learn the culture, learn the people, learn a little bit of their history, though. What makes them act this way? The inception of their heritage. You get me? Like, take for example, I see a lot of Caucasians and Europeans. They come to Africa trying to learn. Listen, though, they want to learn our religion, the Yoruba people. You get me? They want to learn the religion, but most of them, they are not interested in our culture itself. They just want to learn our religion. It's like me trying to learn Christianity. You don't learn Christianity. You get me? You become a Christian. You become Islam. You become part of Islam religion, and then you become a Muslim. Does that make sense? So my advice to you is to learn the culture. Learn the culture first. Learn the people. Learn a little bit of their history before you start learning the language, though. It's going to make it easy. Then you understand the reason why things are like this. And majority of the things you will learn, it's not going to make a lot of sense to you, but it's okay. You get me? It's okay. So, let's see. Duolingo, for example, is one mobile application you can download to learn majority of the languages of the world. The other day I was trying to learn French. I like French. Bonjour. 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 I like bonjour. I like it. You can download Duolingo, though, and it's free. So look into that if you want to learn these things. Take your time, though, before, remember what I said, before you start learning anything. Learn, the challenges that you are likely to face and, the impact it's likely to have on your life. Preferably, I would suggest you look for people who learn the language first and, go for it. Now, let's talk about strategies for effective communication in, bilingual settings. It's one thing to learn new language and speak new language. In between the line, there's a very big chance that when you're speaking their language, you would you will speak your native language. What do I mean? A Caucasian man that speaks French, that learn how to speak French, when they speak French to a certain level, there is a possibility that he will start speaking English and get back to French. So, you need to apply discipline on that level, because you need to understand that the person you're speaking to do not understand English. That is your native language. So the strategy is, immediately that happens, you tell them, oh, I apologize. And then you get back to speaking French. On this podcast, when I speak English, even though I speak English fluently, there are moments where I get to speak my native language, like, you get me, like, and majority of the time I have to, apologize with a smile and say, okay. And then I'll try to translate it into English, because sometimes I forget that, okay, these people don't understand what I'm saying. You get me? So it's a beautiful thing when you speak multiple language. It is a beautiful thing, though. And it is not as hard as people will have you believe. Invest, put your time into it, invest into it. If you cannot afford to get a teacher to teach you one-on-one, I would suggest you use Duolingo, or use all these applications. You can find one of them, or you can find a teacher online where you pay them affordable prices, and they will be your friend. They will tell you a little bit of the cultural history and things you need to know before you start learning the language itself. Thank you guys for listening to me. Once again, my name is Fowobi. Show your love, show your support. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe though, and follow us on other platforms. And check out the link down below to see, easy access to other social media platforms. As you know, we still, the podcast is still, it's 3 years already, and I believe there is room for change, and we can always get better. Thank you so much for your love and your support. Take it easy, my friends.